Hey guys, this video is meant to help students grasp exactly what essential and non-essential relative clauses are, and what that means grammatically for the sentence. Before I can help you understand that, however, let's go back a few steps.
I understand.
We have to first understand what exactly is a clause. A clause is a group of related words that contain a subject and a verb. Without the subject and the verb, you just have a phrase. Now, underneath the umbrella term of a clause, you have two types of clauses. You have your independent clauses and your subordinate clauses. An independent clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb that forms a complete thought. A subordinate clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb that fails to form a complete thought. Okay, now that we have the basics out of the way, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this video. Essential relative clauses versus non-essential relative clauses.
The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world.
A relative clause is simply a subordinate clause that begins with a relative pronoun instead of a subordinate conjunction. They function as adjectives, answering what kind, how many, and which one. For example, Superman misses the planet Krypton, where he was born. Where he was born functions as a relative clause because it begins with a relative pronoun and it modifies Superman, the subject of the sentence. Now that's pretty straightforward, but things become a little more complicated when you have to break the relative clause into its two types, essential and non-essential.
Oh, shit.
When the information presented in the relative clause clarifies a general noun, then the relative clause is essential. When the information presented in the relative clause is superfluous to the overall meaning of the sentence, the clause is non-essential and a comma is needed. Now we have to answer the final question. Why does this all matter?
I don't know!
It's all about comma use, meaning that to understand where to put your commas in a sentence, you have to know whether it's an essential relative clause or a non-essential relative clause. A main clause followed by an essential relative clause requires no comma. A main clause followed by a non-essential relative clause, on the other hand, does require a comma. Now that we got the concepts, let's try some practice.
Boy, do we have problems up here.
Let's look at this sentence and see why there are no commas. Because our noun in this sentence is non-specific, we need our information in the relative clause, making it essential. This means that there are no commas necessary. Okay, now let's take a look at this sentence. Because we say Batman here, a more specific noun than vigilante, the relative clause is non-essential and does require commas. Now that you have a better understanding of a few different types of clauses, hopefully your sentences will be more coherent than Zack Snyder's superhero films. Thanks for watching.